Hello and welcome back. This is Dawn with another video for PinkFresh Studio. So today we're going to create a pair of quick and easy cards that have a lot of impact and a lot of color. We're going to keep the base of these mainly white, and we're going to let those florals with all of their color shine. So we're going to be focusing on the beautiful Botanicals product suite. You have a red rubber stamp set here, a press plate, a coordinating die, and then stencils to quickly color in the images. Now today I'm going to be using the red rubber stamp, the dies, and the stencil. I'm using my mini MISC here, which means for red rubber I need to remove that pad insert. And I'm using PinkFresh Detail Black ink to do my stamping today. I love using black when I use more vibrant colors because I just feel like they make it pop a little bit more, and that high contrast really adds a little bit of drama. Now I did give this a couple of minutes to dry, and you can heat set it also if you're worried about ink smearing. The stencils in this set come with 3 layers, so you have 2 for the flowers and 1 for the leaves. So starting with stencil number 1, which is going to be the majority or the base of the flowers themselves, I'm using Candy Apple, Cherry Blossom, Apricot, and Regal Kiss to start. There is a mix of flowers, mix of type of flowers here, so I'm going to go ahead and take that opportunity to create a vibrant mix of color as well. So for the darker colors like Candy Apple and Regal Kiss, for this first layer, I'm going to go through and put a light to medium layer of ink, because for the second layer, I can just use that color again, just heavier, and that's going to give me the contrast that I need. And then for the lighter colors, Cherry Blossom and Apricot, I will go through and put, a medium to darkish layer of those colors. And I'll deepen up the second layer using Clementine for the Apricot and then the Candy Apple for the Cherry Blossom. So when we remove this stencil, you'll be able to see that we have that base color down for all of our flowers. And then we'll lay down that second stencil, and the second stencil has the details. So these are going to be the darker areas. It's going to add a little contrast. So go ahead and add a layer of ink through those. And then for the little flower centers at the bottom there, I used Gathered Twigs. All right, so we'll remove this stencil and we'll repeat that same thing for the third stencil. And for that, I used Fresh Pear and Evergreen. Now, like I mentioned, I'm creating 2 cards, so I did create a second panel, and now all I would have to do is go through and die cut these using the coordinating die. The nice thing about this, it is just one die, so it will cut all of these images out at once. So I'll go ahead, tape that in place, put it through my die cut machine, and then we're going to move on to the background. For both cards, I'm going to use the Nested Hexagons Blanket Stitch die. So these are a series of nested dies here, and I want to create a frame. So I've taken 2 of them and I've taped them together with washi tape. This is going to allow me to cut multiples of this shape so that I can stack them together. So I went ahead and cut 2 of these and then stacked them together with liquid adhesive. This is just going to create a little bit sturdier frame. A lot of the times when you have these pierced details along the edges, when you cut frames, it can make the die cut a little bit more malleable. So stacking them just brings back that rigidity. All right, so I'll just put something heavy on this till it fully dries, and we're going to move on to the rest of the background. And for that, we're going to use the interlaced diamond products. So here we have the press plate. We're going to use that for the first one. And for the second card, I used the die to cut one from white. So we'll put that to the side. We'll use that in the second card. But for now, let's go ahead and do some blind letterpress. Now, I love press plates. They're extremely versatile. I can do basic stamping with them. I can do letterpress. I can do hot foil. And one of my favorite techniques is blind letterpress. So I'm going to go ahead and take this interlaced diamonds here. I'm going to put it on my Better Press chase here. Put it right in the center. Make sure that it's straight because we're going to be using the full piece. And so we want to make sure that our pattern back there is straight. I've got some porcelain cotton card panels here from Spellbinders. Now, I'm just going to do a blind letterpress, no ink, so I don't even need to tape this to the platen. I'm just going to lay it right on the plate. I'm going to send this through my Platinum 6, and this is going to give me a beautiful debossed pattern here. And I can't recommend this cotton card panel enough. The softness of the cotton card panels allows for the deepest impression possible, so this is absolutely gorgeous. All right, we've got all of our main pieces for our cards now. So we've got our 2 backgrounds. And then we've got our frame here, and then I've used that middle piece that was cut when we created our frame. That's going to be used on our second card, but for now we're going to go ahead and arrange our florals. We've got all of our little die cut florals here. And I'm going to just start feeling out how I want to arrange these. I know I want the florals to be coming into the frame, and I also want some to kind of come up and over the frame. So I want them to be behind coming in, and then some of them to extend over the frame. So like this little poppy here, I'm just going to kind of tuck it to where the little bud comes up over the edge of the frame, but it looks like it's growing from behind it. And I'm going to arrange the flowers on the left, the upper left, and then the lower right for balance. And I'm going to alternate the colors so that I don't have any light colors next to each other. I'm also going to place complementary colors next to each other when I'm arranging my flowers here. So for instance, yellow and purple are opposite on the color wheel, so they are complementary colors, which means when they appear together or next to each other, they are going to make each other appear more vibrant, and they're really going to pop off of each other. So anytime that you are struggling with color placement, no fail, complementary colors next to each other are going to set each other off and make each other appear more vibrant. All right, so once I'm happy with my arrangement, I'll go ahead and start adhering it. So this is the quick and dirty way to adhere. You'll notice that I'm laying my hand flat over the arrangement, and then I'm using the nozzle of my glue press to just squeeze some glue behind that frame and then pushing the flowers into it. Like I said, this is quick and dirty. No need to overcomplicate it. However, if you want it to hold in place a little bit better for you, then a grip mat is perfect for that. It's going to hold that frame still. It's going to hold it in place, and it's also going to hold those flowers in place, which is going to make it a little bit easier for you to apply your glue and push down, and this will hold everything together while it dries. So here I'm just kind of taking a look at how it's going to look on the background. I'm happy with it, so I'll go ahead and continue adhering all of my flowers. A little bit of glue strategically placed, push it into place, hold it with my fingers for a second, and then I'll keep building the same way. A little bit of liquid adhesive, tuck it, press. Super easy. Okay, so once everything is in place and dry, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim off any of these little bits that are hanging outside of my frame. This is going to give me a nice clean edge. Now at the top, I'm going to leave those that are sticking up. I'm just trimming the bottom, and on the top and the sides, I'm going to leave those flowers growing up. Really, I'm just trimming away the bottom stems. They look kind of funny hanging out there, but the tops of the flowers hanging over looks perfectly fine. I'm going to adhere this with some foam adhesive. This is a low profile foam adhesive I've cut into strips. We're going to put that around the edges of this frame here, and then we're just going to put that into place right in the middle of our background panel. Now the sentiment for both cards, I decided to use the Thinking of You stamp set. So I've grabbed the Love and Hugs for this one, and we're going to stamp that in detail black ink, and then I'll use the coordinating die cut to cut it out. To adhere the sentiment, I'm going to use a little bit of foam tape in the very center because remember, our flowers and our frame are popped up. So a little bit of foam tape in the center there to bring it up to level, and then this card is pretty much done. So let's move into the second card. Now we have all of our pieces and parts created, so all we have to do is assemble. I've grabbed that Interlaced Diamonds die cut that we cut from white cardstock, and I'm going to adhere that to an A2 white card panel. And then I'm going to arrange the florals on top of that blanket stitch label there that we die cut when we created our frames. Once I'm happy with the arrangement for this one, I'm going to use the press and seal method to adhere everything. And this is a much more precise way to adhere your arrangements. I just lay the press and seal over, press it to the surface, make sure that it's making contact with all of the die cuts, and then just fold it back. This is going to ensure that everything goes back down exactly the way that I arranged it. You're going to adhere things in the reverse order. So anything that is going to be in the very, very back, which here it's the top layer, you're going to adhere that first, and you're going to continue to adhere, pull back up the rest of the die cuts, add more adhesive, lay it back down to adhere the new ones. You'll repeat that until everything is adhered on the card front. If you want to adhere everything flat, you can just apply all of the glue to the back side, fold it over, and be done with it. However, I always like to add dimensions. So I usually use a mix of liquid adhesive and foam adhesive. So this can be a little bit more time consuming for the actual gluing process, but it's a much more methodical way to adhere things. And everything is adhered exactly the way I want it to be adhered, whether it's glued flat or popped up, and no matter what order I wanted it to go down in. So I have much more control this way, and I don't have to worry about things slipping and sliding around or adhering in the wrong spot accidentally. You'll notice that I went ahead and did my sentiment stamping before I started adhering my flowers. Again, that is also from the Thinking of You stamp set, and I stamped that first because I knew I was going to be adding some foam adhesive, and that's going to affect my stamping if I tried to stamp anything afterwards. And just like before, you're going to go ahead and trim off any unwanted things that are hanging over the edges. Now this one felt a little too plain for me. So I grabbed one of the extra frames that I had cut and I tested it out behind there, and I did really like that extra layer, but I wanted to add a little bit more color as well. So I grabbed a white piece of paper, some apricot ink, the 1-inch blending brush, and I just created my own custom colored paper by ink blending a scrap of paper here. Then I die cut that label from this piece and layered that underneath my focal point. And I really like the way that this makes it stand out from that white on white background. Super easy, yet beautiful. And that pretty much finishes up the cards. So let's go ahead and take a look at both of them. I absolutely love how these turned out. So here we have the first one. We've got that beautiful blind letterpress in the background using that interlaced diamonds plate. And then all of the focus is pulled right to the center with those colorful florals that I arranged on either side. I love the delicate sentiment here. It looks like a fountain pen, and I am absolutely in love with the sentiments in that Thinking of You set. All right, so for the second one, we used the interlaced diamonds die cut in the background, and this time we created, it almost looks like the flowers are just in a field. Absolutely love this one. The sentiment, I kept it quite simple there, and I think that it really allows all of the focus to be pulled again on those florals. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Hopefully you learned something. If you did, don't forget to give this a thumbs up and make sure that you're subscribed if you're not already so that you don't miss any future videos. The featured products are listed in the description box below. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.